What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 27th episode of Super Brain Radio, the second installment in Chapter 6, Useful Tools, where we're taking a little bit of a right-handed turn from the previous 5 chapters, which were all specifically building content-based education in this brain-like domain. But I feel like we've built up a lot of cool stuff so far, and I want to do 2 things specifically with this chapter. One, expose you all to the real life tools I find to be most useful, not just related to the content we've talked about so far, but actually useful in real life when it comes to making change, again, based on the information we've shared so far. Secondly, I think that developing this real life connection, whether you already have a systematic method for attaining a certain outcome, or maybe you don't at all, but understanding and being able to make change in real life at your own discretion gives you a much more profound control over the information you already possess. Not that it's not just enough to memorize facts. Of course it's not just enough to memorize facts, but that's not the point. If you can do something with those facts and allow them to be opportunistic in different scenarios, then even if the information threshold is smaller, you do have greater control over it. So my point here is, by giving you guys concrete information on how I've seen change happen in real time, and then using the prior chapters to explain it, it should do tremendous things for your ability to make change in your own life or the lives of others. So today's episode is logically, based on what I've talked about last episode, going to be connected. So episode 1 and episode 2 are going to be kind of linked here, as well as episode 3 and episode 4 are going to be kind of linked on that second half. So already remembering what we talked about with choline and electricity and how it's that base blind opportunity to put information onto things, we're now talking about the information. And that's when nootropics come into play. So the choline and electrical phenomenon can be great in anybody, but it's only great relative to the information attached. So if you have an insanely good reaction, response, sensory experience in the world, and whenever you hear something happen, it's like, boom, you're already there, but the information that gets, tagged along with that boom, if you will, is always incorrect, then in fact, you're actually limited to that information as far as success. You will need to improve your decision-making ability and your control over whatever skill-based information we're using in this example in your head for you to maximize that electrical spinal cord opportunity you have. Now, nootropics are at their base antioxidants. So we need to remember what we talked about last week when I said the rules upstairs are super different than the rules downstairs. Antioxidant and free radical function is much more of an important wave-like phenomenon when we talk about it in the brain. Rather, when we talk about it in the skin suit and south of the neck, it's a lot more of a try to ameliorate the ones that you don't want, try to foster the ones you do want, where it's typically a plus or a minus sign. That's not how it is up here. It's an up and a down, and both the up and the down are important. Nootropics are supplements that are, again, going to be antioxidants and express antioxidant function on specific areas of the brain. By reducing free radicals in specific, to the supplement areas of the brain, you are going to have increased blood flow, metabolism, and ability to process in that area. The ability to process better in that area is where LTP is going to be catching the baton, and it's ultimately going to make LTP hotter, more specific to what you just did, and oftentimes it doesn't necessarily need an increase in recovery time either. So you're actually getting more for the same recovery time. Excellent, excellent phenomenon. However, we now need to understand that if we're getting LTP hotter, if we're getting that sword more likely to be molded, we need to be that much more specific about what we're molding with. And that's where nootropics carry responsibility, but have an immense opportunity and a powerful opportunity to make change for the better. This change in nootropics can come anywhere from your articulation of speech, your physical and or mental skill acuity related to whatever skill you want, and everything in between. We can even use them to reteach anxiety, paranoia, and personality-based responses to certain traumas. Because learning, LTP, and antioxidant function are so generalized, this is one of their amazing opportunities. You can really target any kind of thing you want when it comes to behavior with nootropics. However, like I said, since LTP is going to be hotter, it's almost like imagining you're going to have a greater ability to listen to someone speak, meaning the stressors you expose yourself to are going to be more profound. So if you take a bunch of nootropics and you expose yourself to stressors that aren't necessarily useful to you, or maybe even deleterious to your health, behavior, performance, whatever, you're actually going to have a more profound deleterious or useless effect, depending on what you ended up doing. So it does require planning. And to make things easier to see in real life, I kind of divided them up into 3 tiers. The first tier of opportunity we can gain from nootropics has to do with awareness, whether it's awareness physically, whether it's awareness of yourself and the environment, whether it's awareness of your ability to participate in a skill. These are all physical senses of awareness. You can also have awareness related to concepts and information, meaning your ability to recall, your ability to actually use a piece of information, or your ability to have an open mind in a moment, are all something we can gain immediately from nootropics. And the point of tier 1 means it's not necessarily what the nootropic is doing, it's the presence of the nootropic in the first place that's going to be beneficial here. Meaning it doesn't need to be a specific one, and it is something you could potentially take every day if you wanted for these tier 1 abilities, because they're low on the totem pole and they're happening just based off of the actual drug mechanism that nootropics are. Tier 2, retention, is going to be moving up that ladder of success a little bit. Now, here's when we can talk about improved memory formation, better skill in real time, better precision, maybe an increased excellence capacity, to reference one of our older episodes, acutely, and everything like that. Now, the caveat here is choosing the right nootropic for the right job. And that's what gets you into tier 2. Maybe this double learning effect, if you will. Tier 1 is very much just getting benefits from the nootropic in general. Tier 2, we now have like, wow, that was the right nootropic for the right job, the right brain areas were turned on, and LTP was fostered in the right way. Tier 3 is going to be essentially making one session of practice in anything you could relate the word practice to, almost like 2 or 3 sessions conceptually when it comes to attaining results. Now, the synergy of tier 3 means it's not just the right nootropic for the right job, it's paired with the right energy sources, meaning pre and post intervening nutritional states that we've again talked about previously were spot on. Furthermore, the actual skill practice, again, whether it's speech, academic, or physical, was specific to the person's patterns, meaning you may have worked on the precision of doing something that's weak for you, often accurately, whatever have you. So LTP was turned on in a specific way, the right brain areas were also turned on, and ultimately you now have a 1 + 1 = 3 effect, because like I previously mentioned, most nootropics don't require an increase in recovery time when it comes to these brain changes. Now, in tier 3, it can demand potentially more recovery time if you're doing something that's a little bit more than normal. And maybe 1 + 1 = 4, but you still got to pay for that somehow. All of these like bandwidth of concepts are very real and very true, but they're all based on how you use them. So if you're only looking to maybe decrease anxiety, a little bit of immune inflammatory like responses, or maybe just increase your ability to do quality work, you need to go to tier 1. It's not that tier 3 is the best, it's the most specific. So if you're looking for things that exist in tier 1, go to tier 1. If you're learning something new and you want to make sure it sticks pretty well, but you already have a stressful lifestyle and frankly you don't have much time to commit to it, that's going to be the ideal scenario for tier 2. The ideal scenario for tier 3 is the subject matter really is important to you, is going to make you some money, or is just something that you've been working on for a long time, you're already elite at, and need that extra boost to keep going, like we've talked about climbing the ladder of success in the past. They all exist for a proper job. It's not that you always want to be in the tier 3 and maximizing synergy. It's using the right tool, the right nootropic, the right opportunity for the right outcome ultimately that really makes the difference.